Hi, I'm going to talk about prompts and how to make sure you understand them enough to effectively answer what your professor will be asking of you and to make sure that you meet all the assignments. And in order to do this, I think I'll first step back and offer a good explanation as to what's going through my head when I'm encountering a prompt or what I think is a useful visual for these types of questions. So as you're reading a book, I like to think of the book as some sort of distinct section in your brain that your professor wants you to create or that you're creating on your own. So in that section, you would have different ideas as you begin reading the book. And these ideas, I would hope, or your professor would also hope that these ideas would be connected beyond that book. So these dots on the outside would represent any sort of ideas you've had before coming into the class and ways that you can relate the class's text to concepts that you already know of. And you're obviously going to have interrelation between the ideas inside of the text. And so the idea of an essay for me is really to understand how either different ideas within the book fit together or how these ideas fit together with ideas outside of the book, and to make a better understanding of the world around you. And this is really the purpose of the class of intellectual foundations. And so understanding where, I'll draw this one as a boundary where if we call this blue circle the boundary where your prompt would be in, then it's, in this example, it's your prompt is asking you, it's an area that intersects the book, so the content you've been reading, and also the outside region, so that the prompt is asking you effectively connect different ideas from the book to the outside world. So the best way to understand a prompt is to understand where that prompt is in relation to the book and to the other ideas that your class has already encountered, or maybe that you've been thinking about on your own. And so it's not often that you would have a prompt that's completely outside of the book. If you're covering a book, you wouldn't have a prompt that's not going to touch on any of the topics you talked about before. You're obviously going to have some sort of relation. It could be that the prompt is completely contained within the book, so you don't relate it to any sort of the outside world. And so on this paper we have, I think that a good way to understand the prompt that would be completely enclosed inside of the region that I'm calling the book would be answers like, or writing a book that tells you to, or sorry, writing a paper that tells you to compare and contrast, summarize, discuss these types of ideas that would continue within the book so that you can foster ideas that can grow and intertwine between those others that you learned. Whereas an example like this, where it's making a connection to the outside world, so that you're taking ideas from the book and bringing it to what you've already learned, or what you may already be learned, these would be types of questions that I'd be asking you to interpret, to argue, to analyze, to reflect. And I really like those types of questions because they really they make you think to how to connect the ideas you've been learning to the real world and to make a difference. So I hope this is helpful, and I'll see you soon.